Pharmacokinetics is the study of how a compound moves through the body: absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination. For creatine, understanding the pharmacokinetics answers some practically important questions. When does blood creatine peak after a dose? How quickly does it reach muscle, and does it matter when you take it relative to training? Absorption begins in the small intestine. Creatine is transported across the intestinal epithelium via the SLC6A8 creatine transporter, the same transporter family that mediates its uptake into muscle and brain cells. This transport is saturable. There's a maximum rate at which the intestinal transporters can move creatine from the gut into circulation. Large single doses, 10 grams or more, exceed the transporter capacity in a short window, which is why some of a large dose may be converted to creatinine in the gut before absorption, or passed into the colon where it's degraded by bacteria. Splitting doses, 4 or 5 grams at a time rather than 20 grams in one sitting, avoids this saturation problem and maximizes total absorbed creatine per dose. This is one practical reason why the loading phase protocol recommends spreading 20 grams across 4 to 5 doses rather than taking it all at once. After intestinal absorption, creatine enters the portal circulation and reaches systemic blood. Blood creatine concentration peaks approximately 1 to 2 hours after an oral dose of 3 to 5 grams. The peak concentration declines over the following 2 to 4 hours as creatine is taken up by tissues, primarily skeletal muscle, or converted to creatinine. The uptake into muscle is not instantaneous. Creatine transport into muscle is a sodium-dependent, active process, driven by the electrochemical gradient of sodium across the muscle cell membrane. In practical terms, this means muscle uptake is continuous rather than pulse-driven. Your muscles are absorbing creatine from the blood across the post-dose window, not all at once at peak blood concentration. The phosphorylation step inside the muscle, creatine kinase converting free creatine to phosphocreatine, also adds time to the full process. For an individual who is already fully saturated, a single maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams raises blood creatine for 2 to 4 hours. And the absorbed creatine replaces the small daily loss from creatinine conversion. There's no performance spike from this process. There's no window in which you're more affected by creatine than at other times. The pharmacokinetics of creatine don't support the pre-workout timing concern. What the pharmacokinetics do support is the consistency recommendation. Maintaining a steady daily dose ensures your muscles are always operating from a fully saturated state, regardless of whether today's dose has peaked in your blood or not. The reservoir is what performs, not the acute blood level. One pharmacokinetic fact worth understanding for anyone interpreting their own blood work. Creatinine is produced from creatine at a rate proportional to total body creatine, and creatinine is cleared by the kidneys at a rate proportional to kidney filtration capacity. The result, serum creatinine in a supplementing individual will be elevated relative to standard reference ranges. Not because kidney function has changed, but because there's more creatine being turned over. This elevation is proportional to your supplementation dose and your total creatine pool. It is not a sign of pharmacological toxicity. It is the expected output of a pharmacokinetic process that the kidneys handle without stress in healthy individuals. The clinical relevance of creatine pharmacokinetics extends beyond blood test interpretation. Understanding absorption kinetics also explains why creatine mixed in acidic beverages, citrus juices, carbonated drinks with low pH, degrades faster than creatine mixed in water or a neutral pH beverage. Creatine undergoes cyclization to creatinine faster at low pH. In a glass of orange juice at pH 3.5, creatine will convert to creatinine measurably faster than in plain water at neutral pH. If you habitually mix creatine in orange juice and leave it sitting for 30 minutes before drinking, you're consuming more creatinine and less creatine than you think. This is a small effect compared to a freshly mixed dose, but it's real. And for people who prefer to premix their supplements for convenience, it's worth knowing. For powder capsules, the slower dissolution in the stomach's acid environment raises a similar concern. Though capsule transit time through the stomach is typically short enough that it's not a major practical issue for standard monohydrate doses. The most reliable pharmacokinetic approach: mix in water, consume promptly. No juice required, no special timing, no sophisticated delivery vehicle needed.